Hi, my name is Danielle Metcalfe-Chenail, and I'm the author of this book, Elise the Aviator, an ABC Aviation Adventure. I'm so happy to get this chance to chat a bit more with the amazing Dr. Elise B. Kennedy, who helped inspire my picture book. Welcome, Elise.
Thank you very much for introduction. I really appreciate that. It's an honor for me to be able to participate in that interview, to try to inspire young people, especially female, to it's possible to fly. I did it. You can do it too. That or anything you want in the world. It's to put your mind into it, have the right people to motivate you, and it's a goal.
So, Elise, what's your first memory of airplanes from when you were a kid?
Yes, when I was a kid, I was watching a TV on Saturday morning for children. And it's funny because the host is also a family friend, Jean-Yves Bigras, who died quite a few years ago. And he was talking about aviation. He was also a pilot. So he tell about the experience of flying and the ecstasy and all that. And also can you find a little piece of asphalt middle of nowhere and you have to land on it. So that really impressed me. I said, yeah, you're right. You're from the sky and you have to find that piece of asphalt. So I was very amazed with that. And of course, the thrilling of taking off and flying. And that really stayed in my mind on most of my life. And then later on, I was exposed a bit more. So then but my first memory of aviation as an interest was during that show.
Oh, wow. And how old were you when you watched that show? Do you remember?
10-ish. I'm not too sure. It was so many years ago.
Yeah, and that's when the seed was planted. Well, and I know you've had all sorts of jobs and worked as a volunteer all over the world, but it sounds like flying was and is a real passion for you. Do you remember what it felt like when you first got to ride in a private airplane?
Yes, it was that I was in a Navy Reserve. It was a CFB, Stillwater in Nova Scotia. It was a female Lieutenant Navy, and I expressed my interest in aviation. Said, I got an aircraft. You want to ride it? Sure. Google said no. So I said, sure. So that was my first ride. And the thing I'm very happy about, it was a female. And in those days was very few female flying, never mind owning an aircraft. So I climbed on board, of course, and we flew around the base and a bit around, about 15, 20 minutes flight, and then we land. And then I was even more hooked because I've been on a private aircraft. I can really feel, I can see the instrument, I can see everything. So for me, it was much better than be a passenger in this 747 in the back seat. You don't see much, but being there, it is amazing.
So it was really tough in the 1970s for a French-speaking female pilot to train and succeed in aviation. What were a couple of the challenges that you overcame early on, and what helped you keep going?
Okay, thank you. The first challenge was female, like you said, francophone, and also I was a Navy Reserve. And I was taking a course with men, Air Force, and regular force. So I was not very welcome at all at the beginning. And that was at CFB Greenwood for my commercial license. So I was not very welcome at first, but I was the first female apparently taking a course there, never mind francophone. So, and that was a hard time. They try everything they can to flunk me, but they succeed only to make me one of the best pilots there because they put me upside down. I was flying a Cessna 150, which is the acrobatic aircraft. And I was flying upside down with the hood over my head and all that stuff, anything to scare me, and a big turbulence too as well. So they didn't succeed, of course. They become a pilot and commercial license. I was the first female, like I said. So it was very interesting to have all male around me, but I'm used, since I was a kid, I'm used to be only a female. So it's for me, it's no big deal, but for them it was.
And you told me that you got to fly a Dakota from the base near me here in Nova Scotia. What was that like?
It was an amazing experience. I wanted to fly in jets, but the thing is, you have to take a course in CFB Bagotville in Quebec called High Altitude and Declination Flight. You learn mostly how to eject yourself and all these things, and they have a space. So, but the thing in those days, you have to put bracket W woman, bracket R reserved. They removed both of them, so they put me as a male. that way I can go. It's kind of silly. So we flew, and the thing I really enjoyed was only one female on board, like usual. But the pilot in the front, he was a major. He was getting close to retirement. He called me in the front. He said, "You like aircraft?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You want to sit?" "Sure." I didn't know that. He put me in the left seat. I have no idea. So he just take off, and then he's telling me, "Okay, take the control and you look at that instrument, that, and keep it straight." Okay, I did that, except it's an old aircraft. You really need a bit of muscle. The hydraulic is not like you just fly with a finger. You really have to pull. So that was interesting. I think I was flying something. We flew over the Saguenay, and beautiful leaf was in the fall. It was just amazing. We landed back at Ville. We spent the night there. The next morning was my training. And it was interesting because, again, they look at me, "What are you doing here? You're female, reserve on top of it." I said, "Well, they told me I can't come." So I came, and it was very interesting. The flight, they put you at 35,000 feet, you remove your mask, and you have to be able to function. Most people faint. They smoke and drink. I didn't, so that helped. So it was good. And flying back was beautiful again. And I did everything except the takeoff and the landing, but I came about 1,000 feet before it took over. So for me, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed that. I will never forget that. And he's the one who inspired me to become a pilot. He said, "You did pretty well. You should consider being a pilot." And I'm just a female. No. There's very few of you, but I recommend you go for it. And I did. And thanks to him, he's probably dead by now. He was already in his late 50s, and I was just 22. So there's a chance he's no longer here, but I will never forget him.
So the right comment at the right time can just give you all the encouragement that you need and really inspire you to chase your dreams. That's fantastic. I hope he can hear this message someday. That would be so wonderful.
That'd be wonderful, because I owe that to him, the fact that I was interested in becoming a pilot. And I start my course in the fall, and my private pilot in St. Hubert in French. Then I took my commercial in English in Nova Scotia, a different type of aircraft. The first one was low-wing Cherokee Piper. The other one was Cessna 172, mostly in Nova Scotia, different language, different province, different type of aircraft. So it was great for me, because I feel more surrendered in a way, because I got both type of aircraft, low wing and high wing, which is different when you land and take off, especially in crosswind.
I'll have to take your word for that. I am not a pilot, but another kind of aircraft that you say you have a special story about is the T-33 Silver Star. So will you share that amazing story with us?
Yeah, that was such, thanks to having gone to CFB Gagetown for my course, I was able to get checked on the aircraft. So they told you sit down in you got the picture, very narrow cockpit, you sit there, and they told you how to eject and all that. If the canopy don't go out, you have a knife, you have to punch behind and in front of you, put yourself very close, and then pull. And that will, if the canopy don't go by itself, you go right through it. And the seat, it covering, it helping you, but you have to really put your back against. If not, you can hurt yourself pretty severely. So that was a good thing for the course. And then when they found out I had my course, they took me off flying. It was interesting. The helmet belonged to one pilot, the mask to somebody else, the jacket belonged to somebody else. And I went on board. It was 3 of us taking off from Stillwater again, formation flight. And then we flew over the coastline in Nova Scotia. It was beautiful. And I was taking picture, but the G-force, during the force, when you make turn, you can barely lift your hand. Never mind taking pictures. So I took 3, 4 pictures. And it was just amazing to see that. And then we split. These 2 guys went together. We stay alone. And he said, "Want to fly the aircraft?" "Of course." It's okay. He said, "Look, I put my hand on the canopy. You going to fly." So it's a stick, of course. So I did a candle, and then I did a full roll in one side and the other side. It's amazing. The stick, you can barely touch, and the thing start to flip again. So that was an amazing experience. But I was not the pilot. I am pretty sure he had his feet on the rudder to make sure I was not going to do something wrong. But hand-wise, I was in full control. So that was a great experience. Again, I was not the pilot. So that gave me the bug, even very deep, because I was flying a jet and a T-33 Silver Star, and they all retired now. But it was amazing to have that experience. And we land, and it was just great. And we make a deal is if you throw up in my mask, you have to clean it. So I was okay. So it was a great experience. I really enjoyed that.
And did you throw open the mask?
No, I did not.
Hey,
Was too
there
busy
you go.
looking around and flying.
You have the stomach for flying, and oh my gosh, it sounds like you've had so many wonderful adventures, and I know that if we had all the time in the world, you would be able to share so many more, but that's all we have time for today. And I will encourage kids watching this, parents, librarians, grandparents, if you want to know more about the amazing Dr. Elise B. Kennedy and these aircraft that she mentions, check out the book, Elise the Aviator. Fly high, everyone.